lies, the gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion and promotes lies, the gospel of Jesus Christ. Spreads confusion and promotes lies, the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Go.
Hey, everybody. It is Thursday, May 30th. It's 8 p.m. live. Look at this. 3 weeks in a row, guys. 3 weeks in a row. I'm your host, Ken, down here in Los Angeles. Up in the Bay Area, we have Bob.
How's it going?
And Jason.
Hey, what's up?
And we have a few things to talk about today that we've planned out in advance. Who would have thought we'd be planning things out in advance? Show notes done before the show starts. What? So this is not new news, but there's so much to catch up on because we've been gone for so long that I really just want to tackle this whole thing about Pope Francis saying atheists who do good deeds are redeemed, and it's not just Catholics who get to go to heaven. Bob, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
I thought that it was interesting that he said it, but at the end of the day, I was like, I don't know, I was just, it's hard to describe that feeling because he makes this grand proclamation about, atheists will get into heaven too, and I was like, sweet, because I don't believe in that. I don't subscribe to that worldview, so it's really doesn't mean anything to me.
Mm-hmm. I know that's a thing I've seen from a lot of the atheist bloggers and stuff lately is, they're kind of, spitting on the extension. It's like the Pope has said, like, oh, atheists will go to heaven if they do good deeds. And I've noticed a lot of atheists, like, obviously I don't believe in heaven. I don't believe in God. What are you going to say to God when you die? Well, I'll probably say, shit, I was wrong, huh?
But you
How
get to
about
go to
that?
heaven.
Or I won't say anything because I'll be dead.
Yeah.
So I don't believe in heaven. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in any of these weird things that Christians believe in. But I think it's kind of, we shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to, the fact that the Pope said this. The Pope saying, hey, if you do good things, you can get into heaven is a sure hell of a lot better than the Protestant down the street saying, if you don't believe in my God, you're going to burn in hell forever.
Well, yeah, so he said it, and then the Catholic Church comes back and says, well, he didn't really mean that. He meant, like, you have to be, in the, what do they call it? In the arms of Christ or in the church or something like that. They have some turn of phrase for it.
Yeah.
So they said, like, oh yeah, he said that, but that's really not what it means.
Yeah, and the interesting part is what the Pope said isn't, part and parcel. It's not really different from what the Catholic Church has been espousing for generations. The Catholic Church has always had a focus on works.
Well,
it's just never included atheists in it before because you had to be a part of the church, so to speak.
We did.
So you have to be baptized first.
I listen to old episodes every once in a while, and I can hear myself saying, like, remember when the Catholic Church used to be focused on works, and when did that all go away, and when was it, when did it get crazy? And now this new guy is Pope Francis is stressing works, but and then the church said, and their turn of phrase is something like you have to be washed in the blood of Christ or something like that. So it's like, works will get you there, but if you want to get in the velvet rope section of eternity, you got to be you got to be a believer.
Yeah. It's interesting because they're getting into some really complex like soteriologies and theologies here with like things like infused, rather than all sorts of weird ideas about the grace of God being like more infused into you as you're a member of the church and participate in things, as opposed to sort of a, baptism's a blank slate, and then you do good works, you get into heaven. And that's actually been the Catholic Church's mentality for generations, like, because as, Europe began to expand out and colonize these areas, you found these people who, had entire cultures that had never even heard of Christianity. And people were really dismayed at the fact that, oh my God, what happened to all these people that died before missionaries got there? And the Catholic Church adopted a stance that, well, you can't blame heathens for having never heard of Jesus. So as long as they did good works, that's good enough. And, essentially that's what it says in Mark. People complain about, asking, well, what about these people who aren't believers and they're doing, good works? Obviously, that's not enough. And, the Catholic epistles touch on works more heavily than, the Paul's epistles that really deal with faith and, more typically Protestant mentalities.
Well, I appreciate the emphasis on works. I do. But, then it becomes, then when you put that emphasis on works, the people are not, it's like people are compelled to do good, not because it's the right thing to do, but because there's some reward in it.
Mm.
And I'll hold that up as atheism holds the moral high ground in that regard. Because we do. There's no reward. People who are atheists who do the right thing do it because it's the right thing, not because there's a reward in it.
Sure.
And
yeah.
not because I think somebody's living.
And I think, though, the distinction here definitely has to be made between Christian factions that do good works because there's a reward, or do good works because there's not necessarily a good reward. But push come to shove, I'm definitely I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth, so to speak. I'm not gonna question the fact, why are they doing good works? If someone's legitimately doing good works, I'm fine with it. It's better than not doing good works at all.
Sure, certainly it is, right?
Because the Protestants don't even need to do good works.
Right.
They can just, I believe in Jesus. I'm getting to heaven.
Right.
Well, fuck everyone else.
The Catholics, as I understand it, Catholic faith plays a little bit in that regard too, where you can ask for forgiveness and no, there are unforgivable sins, but for the most part, sins are forgivable.
Yeah.
It kills me that the unforgivable sins are not things like murder, right? It seems like that would be an unforgivable sin.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's only one truly unforgivable sin, and it's blaspheming the Holy Spirit.
Right.
But Catholicism actually plays it up. Catholicism doesn't view all sins equally either, though. We're all familiar with the 7 deadly sins, and wrath is one of them.
But that came later, right? That was like some guy was just sort of making those up. But
well, so did the asking for forgiveness part too, and then it kind of snowballed into a problem where, the church was selling confessions and selling indulgences, and it became more of a corrupt system than, it originally started as, nobody's perfect. We should probably make a way so that these people can, still live their lives and not think they have to, live some stoic existence of no sinning. So as long as you're genuinely, regretful of what you did, yeah, we can forgive it. Here's your penance. And then it sort of turned into, the nobles going to the church and being like, oh, I killed another mistress because she was going to tell my wife. And they're like, oh, 50 Hail Marys.
But you have to feel really bad about it.
You have to say you feel really bad about it.
Right. Yeah, it's just like why is it that the the only unforgivable sin is a thought crime, and murder is not in there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Why
mean,
is it
here's the
that
thing, like,
atheists?
even when you get into, like, murder and stuff, like, murder is, like, a big sin. But the Bible doesn't touch on rape so much,
Yeah.
you know?
The Bible is kind of rapey.
What I don't get is why atheists are against rewards for good deeds, but I know for a fact Bob uses the same method to get his dog to cooperate.
Oh, it's not a reward.
Mason loves the treats.
Nah, I don't reward him. I bribe him. He doesn't do stuff for free.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily against. I'm not utterly against the idea of, you know, carrot and stick to get people to see things as they are, especially in our society, which is so materialistic and so, you know, self-centered. This individualist cult mentality that we have in the West, where, you know, this Ayn Randian, you know, what about me bullshit that everyone buys into. And if that's what it takes to get people to not be utter dickheads, I'm all for it. At the same time, I do really wish that people would just be nice, you know, for the sake of being nice.
Yeah, you know, I do think that statement by the Pope is a small progressive step in the right direction, but
It's ecumenicism, and
well, it's like being told on Christmas Eve, like, you know what, and the naughty kids are going to get presents from Santa Claus too.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not true, but it's a nice gesture. It's an extension of good faith, so to speak.
I wonder
You
what
know.
this does to Pascal's wager now. Because you know, it used to be like, well, you didn't believe, but now you can say, I can not believe, and then still do, you know, live a good life, and then still get into heaven. What a deal!
Yeah.
Thanks, Pope.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that the Catholic Church still has on it is, you know, obviously being, you know, so to speak, washed in the blood of Christ is something that it's kind of a fast track to heaven.
I can't think of a worse metaphor than washed in the blood of Christ. That sounds awful to me.
Awful, kinky.
That sounds like
so,
something I saw in a snuff film.
Well, have you ever seen Golgotha Chainsaw Massacre?
Yes, I have.
Passion of Christ? Jesus.
Golgotha Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, God. Best description of that movie ever. Thank you, Dr. Price. It's true. Growing up with, like, you know, I had a Catholic half of my family, and it is very focused on, like, you know, the big crucifix with the really, really torn up, haggard-looking, bloody Jesus. Like, that is front and center. You know, it was weird when I went to a non-Catholic, non-Anglican church that didn't have crucifixes. It was just crosses. And I was like, where's Jesus? I'm used to seeing, like, did you finally bury that guy? Like, what the hell? Like, where is he?
Bloody guy on the wall.
Yeah. What? I don't feel disturbed enough for this to actually be church.
Yeah. It's not scary enough.
No, it was really gory, and that's what I remember from church from being really young. Because the Anglicans are kind of into it too. Like, I remember going to church in the Anglican church in Medway, Massachusetts, and it's Christ Episcopal, by the way. That's the one I was baptized in. Big stone building and big pipe organ in the back and gigantic bloody Jesus, like, carved out of wood, like, gory as hell. And it's meant to invoke, like, you know, compassion and you know, sorrow and all these things. Like, oh my God, like, I feel so bad. This guy was, like, torn to shit and then crucified in, like, this horrific manner. For me, I better take communion. And well, the whole washing the blood of Christ thing is, it's a reference to the sacraments and stuff. So most of what the Pope said would be totally lost on, I feel like, on most Protestants. But
Well, this is a kinder, gentler Pope.
the Buddy Christ.
But yeah, I know. I think that's where we're heading. I really think that's where we're heading.
The new
'Cause
Pope is
that would
actually
be
Cardinal
awesome.
Glick.
Oh my God. I know. Remember the good old days of Joey Rats?
Well, I mean, he's Pope Emeritus now.
Yeah, yeah. Is that what they did with him?
Yeah, no, he's Pope Emeritus because he's retired. This is interesting, actually. It's really interesting to me because Ratzinger was such the opposite. Like, I mean, he's someone who blamed the Holocaust on atheists,
I'll take that.
which is kind of absurd. Hitler wasn't an atheist, and
No,
by
he was
and
a
large,
Catholic.
the people who carried out the massacre weren't atheists. They were Lutherans and Catholics. But sure, all right, yeah, you can blame the Holocaust on us. All right. Let's ignore the fact that it was an atheist
So
Stalin
does,
who stopped Hitler in his tracks.
So does Ratzinger? Does he still go by? What was his pope name?
Benedict
Benedict.
XVI. Yes.
Right. So does
yes.
he still
He'll
go by
always
Benedict?
have that as his title. Yeah.
So what is he just like in the bullpen or something? So like if something happens to Francis, does he get to step back in?
No. If something happens to Francis, they'll pick a new pope. He's out, but he'll act as an advisor to Francis.
The fact that Francis is such a night and day, a night and day comparison to Benedict, it almost the Catholic Church has been in trouble, and it's just been like scandal after scandal after scandal. It kind of makes me wonder, like, do you think Benedict jumped or was he pushed?
No, and here's the thing: I don't think it's night and day. I think there are distinct differences between the two of them. Francis is a bit more of a philosopher than Ratzinger was. Benedict was a theologian, but he wasn't on the same par as like JP2. Like John Paul II was a theologian, he was a philosopher, he was a humanitarian. Still kind of messed up in his thinking about Africa and homosexuality, but I mean, he was very much. He was very different from some of his predecessors. And then you have Ratzinger, who's totally different. But let's not forget the fact that when Ratzinger was elected to be Pope Benedict, the very, very close runner-up is now Pope Francis.
Well, right. I mean, he was a close runner-up because he was a popular guy and probably had a lot of I don't know. Do like cardinals have political capital within the Vatican? I don't know.
Cardinals do, yeah. No, they're emissaries of the Vatican. They are citizens of the Vatican. They're so-called princes of the Vatican.
But just in his tone, in his what he says, he's very different from Ratzinger.
In some ways, yeah. The president of Argentina would probably argue with you.
Yeah. Well, I was getting to that. I was wondering if we were going to go there because
yeah, she had some strong things to say.
Yeah, he's not unblemished, I guess.
No, he's still very vehemently against same-sex marriage, homosexuality. Time will show where he stands on Africa. The president of Argentina said it was like living under the Inquisition when he was cardinal.
Well, there was a lot of in Chile and Argentina. There was a lot of political turmoil. I don't know. I guess in the 80s and 90s, maybe even earlier, and that was when like people What's Francis's real name?
I forget his real name.
Yeah,
it's hard to remember their real
But he was,
name.
he was cardinal there or bishop or something there, and there's some like it's sort of that same thing with where like Ratzinger was involved with the Nazis. Like he didn't do anything, but he didn't do anything to stop it. Does that make him culpable? I don't
Well,
know.
Ratzinger, in Ratzinger's defense, he was like 14.
He could have
Or
done
like
more.
13. He was really young.
He was a Nazi sympathizer, you know it.
Yeah. I mean, he was an HJ, but so are all like 14-year-olds in Germany.
Yeah.
Because you had to be.
Yeah.
The fascists don't really take no for an answer, you know.
Nah, I'm gonna sit this one out, guys.
You guys
That's okay.
you guys do what you're gonna do, but I'm gonna go over here now. No, they had a special place for people who didn't agree with them.
Yeah. All right. We'll see where Francis sits. I know a lot of people are very hopeful. They think it's a good sign and a step in the right direction, and they think that this guy is going to be great. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say after about 1600 years of the Catholic Church existing, it's jumping the gun 2 months into the guy's, popehood to start thinking that he's going to start cleaning house. Just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I don't know, man. It's just so many things that they gotta fix.
Yeah, I mean they definitely have to clean house.
And so that's kind of why I sort of see this thing where he says like, oh yeah, and the atheists will go to heaven too. That's kind of like a hollow gesture because atheists don't give a shit. Like we don't care. It's like it's really a hollow statement. Why doesn't he say like, let's be more embracive to homosexuals or I don't know. I mean, just that would be a stretch.
They'll get there. It's a white elephant, is what you're saying. It's a gift that the recipient doesn't really want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care if the Pope says that I can get into heaven or not for the sake of, oh my God, I'm so glad I can get into heaven now. But
that reminds me of that.
Ecumenicism towards atheists from the Catholic Church is definitely kind of a good sign.
Remember in Caddyshack when Bill Murray says that he was golfing with the Dalai Lama, and the Dalai Lama says, on your deathbed, or he said, the Dalai Lama tells me, on my deathbed, I will achieve total consciousness. So I got that going for me.
Oh my God. I haven't seen that movie in so long. I can hardly remember the part you're talking about.
Yeah, I just thought it was a funny line.
Yeah, that's good.
Achieve total consciousness, which is nice. Yeah, so now I feel good. I'm like, all right, sweet. Heaven is gonna have a space for me. And how could he make that statement and then the church officials come back and say like, well, no, not really. And then they say, when he said that, he didn't really mean to spark a theological debate. Like, well, whether he meant to or not, he
the
did.
Pope always sparks theological debates. Anything the Pope says is going to be up for theological debate.
Right.
I mean, it comes with the territory of being Pope. You have papal infallibility. Anything you say goes. But
that's another thing. Is Ratzinger still infallible? I don't know.
I don't know. That's a good question. Yes, probably.
Does Ratzinger go to the Vatican cafeteria and say like, all right, I'm going to tuna salad sandwich. No, wait, damn it, I meant chicken salad. Shit. Does he make those mistakes? Or I know that's juvenile and poking fun at him.
I think it's just theological.
Those are the things I think about.
That comes down to the question of like, could Jesus get a math problem wrong?
Yeah.
When he was like a kid.
Yeah, I was listening to Price talk about that, and they were talking about the parable of the mustard seed, and when Jesus says, take the mustard seed, the smallest of all seeds, and yada yada yada, but not true.
Not even remotely true.
So how
Mustard seeds are small.
So how so that infallibility?
Yeah.
What do they mean? Is that like how infallible is he?
Yeah. I think really, I mean, Jesus is in a bit more of a tight spot because he's supposed to be the Son of God, and you'd expect a little more omnipotence from that.
Yeah, I have a high level of expectation in my gods.
Yeah, no. If you are claiming to be the Son of God, I have a high level of expectations, and you know what? I'm gonna say that the Greeks did too. Their sons of gods all did awesome things. I mean, look at Achilles, son of Zeus, awesome.
Yeah, I like that Thor meme with something about Thor protecting the world from frost giants.
Odin did it.
So far, no frost giants.
Yeah.
Thor 1, Jesus 0.
Odin promised an end to all frost giants. Where Jesus promised an end to all evil people. Like, I see plenty of evil people, but I sure as hell don't see any frost giants.
Yeah, I haven't seen one yet, and I look.
Yeah, I would too. Fuck yeah, frost giants sound terrifying. Not what I want to be near. Though I don't think frost giants live in Southern California.
No.
Not their climate. Maybe they retire here, but I don't think they live here. But no, I have a very high level of expectation for someone who's gonna, people are gonna claim is the, son, not just the son of, but the deity himself. I expect high things.
I think that all of that is all of that infallibility and that's just cherry picking and spin doctoring because they're infallible unless they're not.
Yeah.
And the Bible's always right except when it isn't.
Except when it isn't.
And,
but even then it is.
Right. Yeah. And even then it is, we just don't know how it is yet.
Let's not go down that slippery. It's like they're trying to ease down the slope, but they're like, whoa. Before we start sliding down this, even though it's wrong, it's still right. It's just you don't understand how right it is.
Yeah. If you only knew.
If you only knew. No, papal infallibility has to deal with theological matters only, really. It deals with when, Jesus says, speaking to Peter, and he's like, make it so on earth, and I'll make it true in heaven. Speaking about theological matters. That's why, a priest can grant, confession. He can absolve people. He can do communion and such, and sort of wash away sins, because the church is doing it on earth, and therefore Jesus is he has to keep up his end of the bargain, otherwise he looks like an asshole.
It's sad that my knowledge of the Catholic Church's rules and regulations come largely from a Kevin Smith movie.
It's a good one.
Because I hear you say that stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, they said that in Dogma too. Okay,
yeah.
I know.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Dogma's a great movie. I just love that part with the Buddy Christ.
Yeah,
It's so good.
That feels like where we're headed. I think that'd be great.
It is. Yeah. I love it. Do you watch Doctor Who?
I haven't watched Doctor Who in years.
And
I sadly I keep meaning to. I'm like, I want to get caught up and get caught up in the new Doctor Who, and they just keep making more and more and more of them, and I get further and further behind, and it becomes more and more challenging.
There's an episode from from a couple seasons back where they meet up with the church, and the church is like a paramilitary group, and the Doctor's companion is like, oh, what members of the. Why do they keep calling him father? He's like, because he's their priest and they're his clerics. It's the 24th century. The church has moved on. So, but they're like a military group rather than
yeah.
And I mean, adapt or die.
Yeah, that's interesting. These. those soldiers for God type thing. God,
Which is
soldiers.
normally a very Protestant thing.
Yeah.
The spiritual warfare. It's like the Catholic Church almost kind of left that back in like the 16th century. Like they did their spiritual warfare thing. They're done. Let's go do this now. And then the Protestants were like, no, spiritual warfare. Yes, let's fight demons. The Catholic Church, like, it's kind of like a hidden joke in their closets, like exorcisms and whatnot. No, yeah, we'll do them, but you got to really prove that you need it. Whereas, a lot of Protestants jump right at it, do it on stage. People writhing and blowing snot out of their nose, and gurgling noises, because they think that that's what you have to make when you're getting exercised, I guess.
I know, like, I watch movies. I know what happens when you get exercised.
Duh, I've seen The Exorcist like 400 times.
I know the noises I make when I exercise. It sounds like that.
Yeah, exactly. I've watched it here in LA. There's a wonderful thing called Cinespia, and it's at Hollywood Forever Cemetery, and they screen movies. And last summer, I went and saw The Exorcist in a cemetery.
In a graveyard? Awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
They did
Perfect movie.
They did a 3D conversion of the original Night of the Living Dead there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Rochelle was just saying that
and
it
Bob's
was her
wearing that
idea.
shirt.
She wants everyone to know that it was her idea to go to Cinespia.
So we're about halfway through now. Do we have anybody in the ye old chat rooms, or are we just all alone today?
We have people there, but nobody's talking.
Talk, people, talk. We need things to talk about.
Or somebody to go like, shut the fuck up.
So wait, you only planned for half of the show, and then one
No.
the chat room. To
We have another topic.
No, I mean, we have plenty of stuff. Why don't you bring up a new topic, Bob? I introduce the next topic.
I wanted to talk about, speaking of small steps in the right direction. We probably should have got to this last week, but did you hear about the Arizona? I think he's in the House. He's a state lawmaker. His name is Juan Mendez, and he was invited to lead the prayer before the state legislature came into session, and he said, I don't want anybody to bow their head. I want you to look at the people next to you. He quoted Carl Sagan and came out as an atheist.
That's awesome.
Well, he didn't come out as an atheist at the prayer. He came out later when was questioned by it. But he didn't come out during the prayer session.
That's incredible, actually. Open atheists are like one of the least represented in any form of legislature, almost.
Do you have the quote that he had?
I can find it. Yeah, it was a pretty lengthy quote too.
That's really cool. Carl Sagan's a good guy to quote. Very quotable stuff.
Yeah, it was
I mean, forever, I'll always say billions with a B whenever I'm talking about something that's in the billions because of Carl Sagan.
Billions.
Billion.
But he never said billions and billions. He just said billions.
Billions. But he always said with a B. We'd say billions with a B. To make sure that you didn't think he said millions. He really wanted to get you to the scope.
While he's looking that up, when one of his colleagues were asked what did she think of what he did, she replied by saying, "We're watching history in the making."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
awesome.
the Carl Sagan quote was, "For small creatures such as we, the vastness is bearable only through love." Very nice. From Contact.
It's very nice.
Through
very nice.
love.
Damn
True love.
hippies.
Yeah, it's a little like kumbaya for my taste, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, Carl Sagan was probably high when he wrote it.
Maybe.
Could you imagine if that's the way if he talked like a stoner? He's like, "Dude, just imagine we're this little speck."
I saw, it's like we're a pale blue dot. Can you believe that?
Dude, fuck.
God,
Oh,
just 1 pixel. I saw a Facebook argument with someone that I know, and they really do not like atheists. Like this person does not like atheists, and their argument was really stupid because they were saying something about atheists in politics or something like that, and somebody commented that there are states with laws that say atheists cannot hold public office, and they sort of were like, oh yeah. And they said, show me one state that has a law that says you atheists can't hold public office. And,
Delaware,
and
Pennsylvania.
yeah, right. So the guy came
Named two
back
off the
with
top of my head.
the guy came back with all these, like all of these state laws and codes. And then their argument was that, well, the law would never be upheld because an atheist would never run or something like that. And it's like, well, maybe they won't run because they can't. But then there's a federal statute, and I forget which state it was, but there was a federal, I guess it was a Supreme Court ruling where this guy was an atheist and he was barred from public office, and then the Supreme Court ruled that it was unconstitutional for him to be barred. But the office he had was notary public. So they were trying to keep this guy from being a notary public because he was an atheist.
Yeah.
And then the Supreme Court ruled that unconstitutional. And so based on the way the federal law takes precedence over state law, it doesn't matter what a state law is on the books, you can still.
Yeah, I believe that was Delaware.
I think it was Delaware.
I'm familiar with it. I believe it was Delaware, and they didn't strike it off the books because no one wanted to, even though they can't enforce it after the Supreme Court did what they did. All the lawmakers up till now have been hesitant to become the unpopular guy seen as being the one who wants to remove it.
Yeah.
So it's a useless law. Let's just get rid of it. Oh no, I wouldn't want to amend that. I don't want to be linked to getting rid of it and allowing atheists. Atheists can already get in. The federal court said so.
Right, because that's how you'd be known. You'd be the guy that wants atheists to be. That's how it would be spun.
Yeah,
like, don't
exactly.
vote for him. He wants atheists to be in government.
Power, yeah.
Well, why doesn't he just do it at the end of his
Dirty,
political
dirty
career?
business.
Why does it? I mean,
Some people might. Somebody might. I mean, that's
Maybe someone will at the end of their political career when they're like, all right, I'm officially going to do nothing else in politics.
right.
But I mean, I don't.
Take
Does
up a
anyone
new
really have
career
that
as
point?
Camping and
yeah, a
bird
lot of
watching.
people do.
Well, I feel like maybe, and if they get to that point, are they really going to give that much of a shit to deal with it? They're planning their retirement.
Yeah, I'd like to see if there was some fallout from this Juan Mendez in Arizona.
Well, I just think it's a weak argument saying that they're not doing it because they don't want to be singled out. Maybe they're not doing it because it's not a priority with the people in their district, or they respond to all the letter writing, whatever is popular in their political realm. Maybe if they were feet were held to the fire to remove it, maybe they wouldn't. Maybe they're not being pressured.
Well, they ought to in the first place.
Well, they ought to. Yeah, the government ought to do a lot of things, but they don't until they're pushed up against the wall and saying, "Hey, we're the people." And just by saying that they're not doing it because they don't want to be labeled as that is not truthful in the sense, because we don't know why it's not happening.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I would think that if somebody was in government and that they were an atheist and a true, free thinker and wanted to uphold the wall of separation of church and state, why don't those guys stand up and cry foul at National Day of Prayer rallies? Like, why don't they speak up when they start when they start lawmaking sessions with a prayer? Why don't they speak up about "In God We Trust" on our money. And
Because it's ceremonial deism. Duh.
I mean, but
The
that,
worst argument for "in God we trust" or "under God" or any of that shit I've ever heard.
But so do, I'm just sort of thinking out loud. But do I want a guy who's going to stand up, make a lot of noise, which I would agree with,
Yeah.
and ultimately get voted out, or do I want the guy who's going to sort of get along to get along, and that makes slow incremental changes?
I mean, ultimately,
You're trying to turn the aircraft carrier, man. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to nudge it along.
yeah. Well, sure, I guess.
Bob is the only one that gets that reference. None of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you don't know, aircraft carriers are really big
carriers are
shit.
big. I've been on them. I'm sure they don't.
And if
turn
it's
very well.
going straight and you want to turn, it takes a while.
Yeah, I'm sure they're quite big. I've been on one. They're very
Me
large.
too.
My uncle was in the Navy.
Having an uncle that you know that was in the Navy is not the same thing.
No. I've been on an aircraft carrier. They're
Sorry,
very
I
large.
didn't mean to derail that. Go ahead.
No, it's
But
fine.
anyway. I mean, our whole political system is kind of broken in the first place. That you vote for people based on their politics rather than people running and then voting in accordance to the people that they represent. I think it's
Right. I mean,
ass
shouldn't
backwards.
shouldn't the guy who runs for, the state senate in your district, shouldn't he say, like, every time there's an issue in the Senate, I'm gonna have a Facebook page where you can vote for the issue and I will vote accordingly.
Well, I mean, they do have, in the perfect world, they do have something similar. It's just not done digitally. It's done through email or done through handwriting, through letters, and the ones that get the most attention are the ones who the loudest voice is the one that gets heard. When you have the petition drives of all these groups that bringing boxes and bags full of letters from people or petitions and stuff. I mean,
Stacks of petitions taller than them.
yeah, I mean it draws the attention to it. I mean, they don't. Of course, they handpick what they want to do, but there are times when the symbolism of bringing the stacks of petitions, or like what they do on the White House, saying that if a certain petitions get X amount of votes, then the White House will address it. And there's organizations like Change.org and Take Action that make their career out of doing petitions because they have some kind of leverage because there's so many people behind it.
Sure, and if that worked like it should, then we wouldn't have gun control bills that are widely supported that get voted down.
But we're not. That's a blanket stroke. I mean, if you remove the element of corporate power in a capitalist system. But I'm saying, but going back to saying that why don't the politicians want to remove that law, even though it's invalid, and to be painted as the atheist, the one who wants the atheist vote. I think if there was a act of symbolic action where people had the petitions or did whatever it was that brought attention to it, then they would remove it. I think.
Well, yeah, but that's just the flip side of the coin. No one's done that,
Yeah.
or at least not in a level high enough. I mean, they want to be seen as being likable. There have been numerous studies now done by Pew and other organizations that show that atheists are the least trusted of any minority. Like, less trusted than Muslims, and I mean Sikhs and Hindus get beat to death because people think they're Muslims.
True, but I just think it's dishonest to say that the only reason that these politicians are not taking a stand on that is so they'll be painted in a bad light, because we don't know why they're not taking a stand.
I think, generally speaking, the only reason politicians don't take stances on things that would be easy soft sells is because there's some aspect that they don't want to be painted in a bad light for. I mean,
Right,
maybe
how
I'm just
often-
cynical.
How often are guys advised, like, don't do that, it's political suicide?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's right or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't. But we
with
again,
the
we're
political zeitgeist in
but
this
we're
country.
but with this, we are painting this picture that we have no evidence of. Well, that's why they haven't removed it from the book. Yes, there are times where people go, don't do it because it's political suicide, but we don't know if this is that time.
You're right. And so it is speculation. It's fair to say it's speculation, but that's what we do. We're speculators. I'm speculating.
I thought we were skeptics. Damn it.
I'm speculating skeptically.
I do believe that a legislator pushing to remove that bill from Delaware's laws would be viewed as political suicide, given the current climate politically towards atheists. A lot of people, I mean, they can't uphold that law. They can't enforce it, but it's there, and it definitely makes some people feel safe. Like, and removing it is almost like opening the floodgates. Oh, this, now the atheists are going to rush into office. It's I don't know. I think atheists are not trusted politically, despite the fact that, I mean, there are a few atheists in offices here and there. Arizona's excellent. There was one senator from California, but that's it that I know of. Not a senator, but a representative. Sorry.
Yeah, but I think that there's probably more out there.
Oh, I'm sure there's tons. There's got to be. I mean, if not atheists, at least a nun.
Right.
It's what, 16% of the U.S. population. It's nuns.
Right, but 0% of the electable population.
Yeah. And I mean, we'll see what happens if this guy gets reelected or not. I mean, Arizona isn't a super religious state, but I mean, I'm sure it's religious enough.
Yeah, I guess it would depend on which district he's in Arizona. Yeah. I'd have to ask Christy. She knows Arizona pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, if
I could
he's
see
in
if it was like Flagstaff or something.
Phoenix or something, it's fine. But if he's like,
he's in Mesa. Where was he? He was.
I don't remember that it said.
It did, and I just don't remember. But
yeah, I don't know. But I'd be interested to see if he gets reelected. And I mean, I'd be really interested if someone from West Virginia or like, North Carolina came out and said they were an atheist, and they were reelected. That's my litmus test.
Yeah. Virginia would be good.
We can't even get a senator from Massachusetts to come out as an atheist. Yeah, good luck anywhere else.
It would be interesting to see somebody run openly as an atheist.
It would be interesting. There was one guy, and I suck that I forget his name, but he was a representative from California who ran openly as an atheist, and he's like initiated bills to recognize Darwin Day as a national holiday, and so like several years in a row. But I don't remember if he was reelected or not.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's just funny to see those arguments play out. Show me one law where it says an atheist can't hold public office.
Well, those people aren't usually too keen on facts.
Yeah.
Like people who make arguments like that don't usually have a very clear idea of what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when people equate, gun control laws with the abolition of the Second Amendment. It's like, not exactly the same thing. Obama's not coming to take your guns, people. Like, saying that you shouldn't have a rocket launcher is slightly different than saying that you can't own a hammer.
Right. You might need a flamethrower, man. You don't know.
I've wanted a flamethrower my entire life, but those things are heavy as hell.
Yeah. What dude hasn't wanted a flamethrower?
And it really, I mean, even just for, you know...
Although I will
duties.
say, I'm on the side that writes the law that keeps a flamethrower out of my hands, because it's probably not going to turn out well.
Yeah. I don't need a bazooka.
I want
You
one.
know? But and maybe that's just me. I don't know. The people who say they need, you know, an AK-47 to go hunting. One, hunting's stupid. Two, you don't need to hunt with an AK-47.
I don't know. I mean, I like AK-47s.
It's a wonderful hunting rifle.
Yeah.
Depends what you're hunting. If there's
Right.
two legs and running and screaming, you need an AK-47. Ask any military official.
Yeah, it's true.
So I don't know. All right, so that reminds me, and I don't know if this is true or not, but you mentioned hunting in since, you know, when you hunt, the intent is you kill the target, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the design of the M16 is a small caliber bullet, and it's not meant to kill you; it's meant to injure the enemy, because an injured enemy is worse than a dead enemy, or like from a tactical standpoint, an injured enemy is better than a dead enemy, because an injured enemy makes noise, he costs resources, he slows the other guy down. So they're not even hunting in the military; they're just trying to maim and injure.
You just said a dead enemy makes more noise. I can
I'm
understand
sorry,
about.
a wounded enemy makes noise.
He's talking about the zombie apocalypse, Jason.
Right.
Man, I don't know what he's talking
When
about.
the enemy gets back up,
Post-rapture. That's right. I just brought it back to...
You
our
got it.
topic.
Yes.
and anyway, that's not either here nor there. But so they're not even hunting.
Yeah.
I'm confused by that statement. But
Anyway,
I'll clarify
not to get
after
too
the
far
show.
off topic, and kind of wrap it all up. That's funny that...
So
the guy
when are
was
you going
like,
to start your political career, Ken? When are you going to throw your hat in the ring?
Yeah, right. I would be totally unelectable. Atheist, vegan, and a double activist at that. No way. God.
See, this is you got to get in there. You got to start mixing it up.
Yeah. I'm way too vocal.
You're just the guy we need.
They would Google me once and be like, nope. One of those things where your internet search history probably blocks you from getting elected.
I've been watching a lot of House of Cards. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, nice.
So I think you can hang, man. I think you could do it.
Yeah,
you can run
you
on the
think so?
atheist platform.
Maybe after I start my my career as a hip youth minister.
Yeah.
Whenever I think of the youth ministers, okay, and this is going to be one of the final things I'm going to leave everyone on. Do you remember the episode of King of the Hill with the Christian rock?
No, but we
Yep.
mentioned it before, though.
Yeah, it was on just the other day.
I just haven't seen it.
Oh my God, I love it. When
You're not making church better.
you're not making church better, you're just making rock and roll worse. It's funny because it's true.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's very true. My cat is about to try and jump the 4 feet from the counter to the top of the fridge.
Well, I'm gonna sleep better at night knowing that there's an atheist in office in Arizona,
In Arizona.
and the Pope is gonna let me get into heaven.
Yeah, the Pope's gonna let you get to heaven. I think it's a nice gesture.
The rest of the church is trying to stop him, but if it's up to him,
But bear in mind, he's infallible, and Jesus has to keep up his side of the deal.
yeah, that's good to know. I've got that going for me, which is
Yeah.
nice.
So I think we can wrap it up now. It's right about that time, isn't it, Jason?
You got 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes? Oh, wow, 5 minutes. 5 whole minutes. What can we fill with 5 minutes? That's what she said. No, not a single even giggle from you guys.
I heard that. Yeah. Thanks, Michael Scott.
Oh God. I think that's all we have.
You made me think about like where atheists are discriminated against. I'm gonna go home and set up my Christian Mingle profile and see how long it takes me to get kicked out.
Get kicked out. Best pastime of any atheist is going into Christian forums and seeing how long you last.
Yeah.
It's like trolling, but better because you're right.
That's what she said.
I don't even know what that means.
I just wanted to be part of the gang.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be another joke.
I didn't understand it the first time.
So speaking of Francis, I mean, we got to come up with a good nickname for him because we had the Pontiff Palpatine.
Pontiff Palpatine and Razzi the Nazi.
And I liked on the what was it, Reasonable Doubts, they called him Joey Rats.
Joey Rats. That's awesome. I like Joey Rats. I think Razzi the Nazi is probably my best one.
We got to come up with something for Francis. Although every time I hear Francis, remember that scene in which is what I think of when I think of Francis. That scene in the movie Stripes when the guy's like, "The name's Francis Sawyer, but everybody calls me Psycho. And if he calls me Francis, I'll kill you."
Oh yeah, I guess we're gonna have to call him Pope Psycho.
Yeah.
That's it. We're
Call
starting
me
a new
Francis,
thing.
and I'll kill you.
Pope Psycho.
And the drill sergeant's like, "Settle down, Francis." This is a funny movie.
You're getting too deep into the reference now. What about our people who haven't seen it?
Yeah, spoilers.
Spoilers. Spoiler alert. Every time we put you up on screen, we have to put a spoiler alert at the bottom.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for any movie ever made.
So you have 3. You want to take it out?
Yes. Okay, so been great. 3 weeks in a row, like I said, I can hardly believe it.
Kind of a streak.
Yeah, it's one of our best.
Oh, we did 60
So-
shows, didn't we? How many shows did
did.
we do in a row? I don't know.
It's 60 something.
Yeah.
So 3 is, but anyway, it's been great, this week. Let's get that chat room moving a little more next week. We really want to hear what you say. You can always leave us comments and feedback. Jason will put all that stuff on the screen. Can you even do that now?
What's that?
Put the stuff on the screen?
The comments?
The contact.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not prepped to do it this
How
time.
he
I
does
just-
these things anymore. Because it's all new, because it's all live and fantastic. But that's what
I mean, I guess I could do it.
that's what Zombie Popcorn's all about. It's live entertainment. Dinner and a movie.
See if I can do this live.
So you can check out all the social media. We're on Facebook and Google Plus, and check us out on Stitcher Radio and iTunes and YouTube, and go to the website zombiepopcorn.com, and just leave us feedback and comments. We'll get to it whenever we have comments. We try to address them on the air. And with that, what is it? 757. Jason.
0.33.
337.
I've made the text too big.
Oh no.
We'll work on that for next show.
No, it's 757-337-2195. I was trying to go live.
Hey,
with
we're
the
upping
text.
the ante on you, Jason. You're just gonna have to get better every time.
You got to be able to roll with these punches now.
Yeah.
Get ready. I'm going to ask you to throw random things on.
Well, the
screen.
funny thing is hopefully,
Flip frame.
if not this week, but next week, we'll have a soundboard and be filming in front of a live studio audience.
Can we do wacky noises?
Yeah.
That'd be great. I love that.
It'll be a call-in show. People can call in and totally tear us a new one.
Well, we have the phone where they can
It'll
do
be
it.
awesome. So with that, we'll see you next week.
Word. Bye.
Good show. You guys still there?
I'm still here. We're probably still broadcasting. Now, this is the part of the show that other people get to hear when we're like, hey, guys.